A nuclear attack would most likely target one of these 6 U.S. cities, but an expert says none of them are prepared. The chance that a nuclear bomb would strike a U.S. city is slim, but nuclear experts say it's not out of the question. A nuclear attack in a large metropolitan area is one of the 15 disaster scenarios for which the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency has an emergency strategy. The agency's plan involves deploying first responders, providing immediate shelter for evacuees, and decontaminating victims who have been exposed to radiation. For everyday citizens, FEMA has some simple advice: get inside, and stay tuned. But according to Erwin Redlener, a public health expert at Columbia University who specializes in disaster preparedness, these federal guidelines aren't enough to prepare a city for a nuclear attack. There isn't a single jurisdiction in America that has anything approaching an adequate plan to deal with a nuclear detonation, he said. That includes the 6 urban areas that Redlener thinks are the most likely targets of a nuclear attack: New York, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. These cities are not only some of the largest and densest in the country, but home to critical infrastructure, like energy plants, financial hubs, government facilities, and wireless transmission systems, that are vital to U.S. security. Each city has an emergency management website that informs citizens about what to do in a crisis, but most of those sites, except for LA and New York, don't directly mention a nuclear attack. That makes it difficult for residents to learn how to protect themselves if a bomb were to hit one of those cities. It would not be the end of life as we know it, Redlener said of that scenario. It would just be a horrific, catastrophic disaster with many, many unknown and cascading consequences. Nuclear bombs can produce clouds of dust and sand-like radioactive particles that disperse into the atmosphere, what's referred to as nuclear fallout. Exposure to this fallout can result in radiation poisoning, which can damage the body's cells and prove fatal. The debris takes at least 15 minutes to reach ground level after an explosion, so a person's response during that period could be a matter of life and death. People can protect themselves from fallout by immediately seeking refuge in the center or basement of a brick, steel, or concrete building, preferably one without windows. The most important scenario to prepare for, according to Redlener, isn't all-out nuclear war, but a single nuclear explosion such as a missile launch from North Korea. Right now, he said, North Korean missiles are capable of reaching Alaska or Hawaii, but they could soon be able to reach cities along the West Coast. Another source of an attack could be a nuclear device that was built, purchased, or stolen by a terrorist organization. All 6 cities Redlener identified are listed as Tier 1 areas by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, meaning they're considered places where a terrorist attack would yield the most devastation. There is no safe city, Redlener said. In New York City, the detonation of a Hiroshima-sized bomb, or even one a little smaller, could have anywhere between 50,000 to 100,000 fatalities depending on the time of day and where the action struck, and hundreds of thousands of people injured. Redlener said many city authorities worry that even offering nuclear explosion response plans might induce panic among residents. There's fear among public officials that if they went out and publicly said, "This is what you need to know in the event of a nuclear attack," then many people would fear that the mayor knew something that the public did not, he said. But educating the public doesn't have to be scary, Buttermeyer said. The good news is that get inside, stay tuned, still works, he said. I kind of liken it to stop, drop, and roll. If your clothes catch on fire, that's what you should do. It doesn't make you afraid of fire, hopefully, but it does allow you the opportunity to take action to save your life. Both experts agreed that for a city to be prepared for a nuclear attack, it must acknowledge that such an attack is possible even if the threat is remote. This is part of our 21st century reality, Redlener said. I've apologized to my children and grandchildren for leaving the world in such a horrible mess, but it is what it is now.